Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rifles, Rods, and Broads. So welcome back, man.
Hey, thank you very much.
I missed you, buddy.
Well, we missed you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So you guys went out on the fishing trip, the annual Pac V with the Redondo Rod and Gun Club.
That's right.
Mikey's trip, and I heard a little something.
Okay. No, there was a lot of something.
A lot of something?
Not a little, yeah. Yeah, freezer's full.
Oh, man.
Freezer's full.
I saw the pictures, and I was just like, oh, my gosh. I saw that, like, random text message because I know you guys are out at sea, and it's like reception's really bad. But did you guys have a boat with Wi-Fi?
No, Wi-Fi's for the personnel only. So yeah, it's got a little Starlink on it. Yeah, I was trying to work the magic for the password, but nope. No.
So what did you guys end up with?
A mixed bag is what folks call it, but we're on just a tuna only. Yeah, it's a night bite, so we worked really hard. I want to say 45 to 50 tuna.
Wow.
Yeah, ranging from 20 to, I want to say 90 pounds. I don't think we broke 100.
Wow.
And then on the way back, we stopped at the Coronados and picked up a heck of a lot of bass and a calico bass and a couple of yellowtails, a bonita, just some random stuff.
Yeah, when you shot me the text that said bloody decks.
Yeah.
My response was, how bloody?
Yeah, no, couldn't see the Pac Voyager insignia in the rug that they have in the back. It was just murder.
That's
murder
awesome.
Scene, yeah.
And this week at the club, at our club meeting, we're going to have an awesome event because a lot of you guys are donating some fish, and we got a sushi chef coming out.
That's right.
To kind of like teach us and show us the inner workings of what it takes to become a master sushi chef.
Right. I'm super excited about that. I can't wait. I've been wanting to do that, and I've been picking up skills from yourself and others, but this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I'll be heading out there tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm meeting Defrost over there. I'm gonna make some poke. So we'll have some poo-poos, some appetizers, and we'll be getting down.
Yeah.
But aloha, Misha.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I'm wearing the shirt. Just
Maui, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Rifles, Rods, and Broads, everybody. Aloha, Jojo here. And as you can see, we have a special guest. We have a friend of the show, Misha.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I can't believe it's taken me this long, but yeah. Thank you for having me.
It's taking a while, man. We are now on episode 10. Episode 10 of the show. That is like a milestone.
Congratulations. Yeah, double digits.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And we've got Misha on. He is, again, our special guest, and he is our tournament director of the Redondo Rod and Gun Club.
Yes.
Friend of the show, as mentioned. Yeah. And guess what? Look, you're keeping his chair warm. Langosta is not here because Langosta, as we know, is having a hell of a time.
Oh, my gosh.
Where is he at?
He is in Africa.
Africa.
Yeah. No, all those pictures coming in via WhatsApp, videos. I'm envious of what's happening.
Man, I cannot imagine. And he's been there for like a few weeks already.
Going on 2 weeks, if not longer. Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's with a bunch of our buddies down there in Africa. They've been there for a couple of weeks. They're getting their adventure on. And we're going to have tons of stories when he's back about what they encountered in Africa.
Africa. Yeah.
But this is like God, how many times has he been to Africa? I know for sure this is his third trip at least.
Yes, maybe one more, maybe fourth. Again, he snuck out on that one trip by himself. I remember that one.
He's been like our decorator of the club because the moment that you walk into the club, it's almost like you and Langosta are in a competition of who can have more animals on the wall.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to contribute as much as I can.
I haven't contributed anything yet.
Well, we'll take care of that this year.
We need to take care of that this year. Yeah. So I haven't contributed anything yet, but you and Langosta have contributed. And it's kind of funny too. When he came back, when he was hunting out in Africa, I think it was 2 years ago, and then 6 months or a year later, he's just we get a picture that has this big old crate in it, and it's like, hey guys, can you come help me down at the club?
You won't fit through the door. Need to open it outside and carry each head one by one. Yeah.
No, and that's going to become our second studio home. So we've got enough equipment to set up a second studio. So once all the lights are in, then we're going to make that happen.
Nice.
But Misha, we wanted to bring you here to Rifles, Rods, and Broads, and we wanted to put the broads in broadheads. I know a lot of people have been asking me and Langosta, hey, when are you guys going to be talking about archery? Well, guess what? Episode 10?
Here we are.
Here we are. We're talking about archery. So you see all the tools of the trade on the table. We're going to be talking about archery today, and by no means are we experts. Yeah. But Misha, you've got a resume.
Ooh, yeah. No, thank you. I a little bit.
Share with us, like, talk to us about how you got into hunting, what kind of archery hunting you've been doing, some of the animals that you've gone after, all the good stuff.
I'll skip the lies and the fairy tales. And
no, you can't do that. That's a part of the story, man.
Okay, all right, yeah. I've want to say this is my 10th year hunting all together at a consistent way. So I've gone to like a turkey hunt, just walk through the woods, take your shotgun out for a walk when I was young, but nothing really every year planning, putting in for tags and things like that. So this is the 10th year. I joined the rifle and rods, the Redondo Rod.
We can start a new club.
Yeah, we already have. Look
it's
at the
like
likes.
a sub club.
Yeah, look at the likes on the social media. No, I joined the Redondo Rod and Gun Club in 2013 and as a fishing aficionado, and I just went on trips. I was invited on kind of tag-alongs to some of the guys. They liked me. I was younger, excited about just being out in nature, and they invited me a couple of. Was originally started with archery trips, and I kind of watched them, pull their bows back and miss and yep,
just like that.
Hit a couple of trees instead of
I've done that before.
Bambies, yeah. And every time we went out, I loved it. I love being out in nature.
Yeah.
And I was almost kind of sad. So there's a couple of times that we didn't come home with the bacon, and in the back of my head, I'm like, I can do this. I can. And a year later, I just picked myself up a bow. I dove deep into the research and figure out what I want and just went after it.
So kind of going back to like joining the club, because I think every one of us has our own story, especially for those of us that kind of get into hunting, how we're introduced to the sport. I've got my own way on the way that I found the Redondo Rod and Gun Club, and it was a blessing because you've meant so much to me in terms of like mentoring me into my hunting career, and I'm very appreciative of it, and I wouldn't have had that unless I found the Redondo Rod and Gun Club. So what took you to the club, or how did you find it?
Well, thank you. And I don't think none of us can. We found this magical place. I was living 4 blocks away, walking to the store that was next door, and I've noticed the sign like everybody else. I've been walking by the sign so many times, and one day was a Thursday, and there was people in the parking lot.
There were people there. Yeah. The one day and the 1 hour a week that the people were there, you walked by and it was like, finally, it found you.
Yeah. So walked in and just, was somebody walked up to me. I believe it was Squirrel. We'll drop his name. Yeah. And just said, welcome. Yeah. What are you interested in? And never looked back. Yeah.
So at that time you came to the club, you were kind of more of the fisherman, and then you started kind of hanging out with the guys, and then got into archery after kind of hanging out with them, tagging along on a couple of hunts. Right. So what came in your hunting career? There's always the question, is it the chicken before the egg, right? Yeah. So what was it for you between a rifle and a bow?
Good question. I think because I was exposed to almost like a year worth of hunting, so I was invited to every type of event, and I followed. I think as I was getting into it, the opportunities that presented themselves with archery, and the success that the guys at the club had with archery is what drove me that way immediately. I went home. I'm from New Mexico. Went home for Christmas that year. Mentioned to my father-in-law, and he was like, here's one of my trusty rifles. So you're not going. Wow. Yeah, you're not going.
Did he wrap it in a bow?
No. He's just, he's a very successful rifle. Here you go. So now you have a rifle if you were going to go hunting. But this is Christmas time. I was like, there's a couple of seasons before rifles. So I picked up the bow. It's actually, I think, behind me or on the side of me right now. And that just, again, that was it. I did hunt with a rifle that year. Wasn't successful. I don't think 2014 was successful. But again, after that, I don't think we've been buying much red meat ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what attracted you, though, to archery?
I think just everything about it. There's so many, I guess, intricacies almost, from all of the amazing technology that goes into bows, arrows, and all of the equipment that's part of archery. And then knowing how close you have to get, and you have to piece all of the puzzle together in order to be successful. Versus, again, I love rifle hunting. I've recently gone rifle hunting out in Hawaii.
Where?
In Hawaii, yeah. And it was amazing. But again, something about just getting close. I've always had that desire to be better.
Yeah.
Just try as hard as I can. The victory is so much sweeter when you do.
You know, for me, it was like kind of being the more primitive hunting tool.
Okay.
It always just kind of seemed like, oh man, what if I could do this, right? And I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I was watching, Sylvester Stallone and Rambo. So that was, badass as well. So, I thought I'd look cool if I drew back like that. But to me, it was just kind of like the more primitive tool. It was more along the lines of the challenge. And then as we started researching about hunting, and if I go back and the advice that I have people for today, especially for those that are living kind of here in Southern California, I think the ability to actually go hunting is greater if you start off in archery. Mm-hmm. And I also think that it's, and people are going to argue and say, no, that's BS, that's your own opinion. But I think it's one of those things that may be more difficult to really get better at, to where you have to hone in your skills, because it's not just about lining up on the target, but like you said earlier, I mean, you really got to get close. Yep. You can't be 100 yards, 200 yards. Well, are you?
Yeah,
but you can't be 200 yards. I'll start there. 300 yards, 400 yards, 500 yards away, right? You've got to get in close enough to really be able to give yourself the best opportunity to take a shot on an animal, especially when you're hunting out there and you're wanting to be ethical. And we've got a couple of club members that have just joined the club, Ron specifically. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I remember one night that myself, Langosta, Ron, and we were in deep conversation, and it was like, Ron was so set on getting a rifle, and I was like, wait a second, buddy. Let's start to think about this. And Ron, he's so inquisitive. It was just like an awesome conversation. I wish we were podcasting at that time, because podcasting was still just a brainstorm at the time. But we'll eventually have him on too, because it's always nice to talk about, a lot of people that haven't got into hunting. It's never too late. If you want to do it, you just got to go out and do it and have a starting point. And that's kind of what we want to be here for many people, is a starting point, right? But we're talking about just being able to go out here in Southern California, grab a bow, go archery hunting. There is opportunity out there. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. We got a lot of toys that we have to talk about, and we'll get through on this program. But coming up this season, and for you, this is your 10th season hunting. This is my 5th or 6th season hunting, and I'm super stoked. And you and I are a couple of lucky dudes who are going to be going to a special state this year.
Yes, we're going back.
We're going back.
Yeah.
Part due, but this is like part quattro for you.
Yeah, I think this is year 4.
Look at that, man.
Year 4.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So where are we heading to?
We're going to Colorado, archery season.
We can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to go back, because last season when we went, it was obviously new to me, and having you there and Dustin there and Raul and Venata, we had a great time. It was amazing. There was a lot of lessons learned. So kind of like the second go around, for me at least, it's like, okay, I know kind of what to expect. Mm-hmm. So I think things are going to be a little bit different, and spending a week and a half kind of out there, it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be amazing. I definitely know how you feel. Yeah, we had to build onto that coming out of the first year we were there, rifle, because didn't draw a single elk tag, so we said heck with it. Let's get a second season rifle tag. And my father-in-law and I went out there, and it was just an army of orange until 25 inches of snow fell down, and it was just the two of us for a week, and it was amazing. Yeah, and we're not going to see any snow this year.
Well, who knows, man?
Yeah, God forbid.
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. But no, we definitely plenty of animals. Yeah, limited number of people. Lucas, limited archery tags during the season. So yeah, we still see people, we see animals, and just again, gotta put it together and we'll be successful.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I think the time that we're going to be going now, it's going to be a bugle fest. So I just can't wait. Super stoked to be going back to Colorado. And going back to our previous episodes, I'm choosing driving. Drove there last year and we'll be driving there this year again. It's a great drive. It's 13 and a half hours basically, but I'm stoked that we're going to be heading back to Colorado. And on top of that too, for those of you that are here in California, there is a lot of archery opportunity in California, and we've got some archery tags in California as well. So looking forward to that, some deer tags. And if you guys are interested, just check out the 2024 California Big Game Draw. Obviously, it's a little bit too late if nobody has gotten in because the draw has already taken place. But if you are a California resident, there's still archery tags available that anyone can pick up.
Yeah, even if you're not. So yeah, over the counter is really popular in California, and you could, again, with the for deer, again, people will say we do have monsters out there, which we do. Unfortunately, I only chase meat in California, so I don't chase the points. I don't.
Meat is meat.
Meat is meat. Yeah, but yeah. California is great.
It is.
From the kind of the tag availability perspective, because there's so many over the counter,
especially for residents.
Yeah, and then you can go with archery equipment, and one tag will allow you to hunt archery first during the archery season, and then rifle after that. So I love it. Yeah.
I think one of those things too that I hear more and more in other podcasts is like California is being discovered as the secret place for Western hunters, because everybody's talking about Colorado, everybody's talking about Wyoming, about Utah, Montana, and then what a lot of people don't know, but California residents, if you are into hunting, need to know is that we have one of the longest deer seasons when it comes to archery hunting.
Yes, sir.
So if somebody gets into archery hunting here in California, there is a long season. If I'm not mistaken, our season actually is the first to start in July, right?
So it starts on the second Saturday in July, and there are tags that go through all the way in December 31st. Yeah.
And that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and all of those can be picked up over the counter if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So
but you won't see me hunting in July. I'd probably see you hunting in July.
I'm already getting ready. Yeah,
Jojo's not hunting in July.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. Oh my gosh! Like put me under a tree and then I'm just there. Give me my Camelback and my water, and then maybe I'll do some hunting and I'll just watch you in the distance with my binos. Go Misha, go! But
if I'm not mistaken, we did go out. Was it a year or one ago in July, and then we sweated our butts out.
Yeah, we did. And then guess what? I didn't go back until November. Yeah, I learned my lesson. Yeah. But Misha, you got a short-term memory, man. And you're fighting the ticks too. Those are crazy.
Yeah, we do a lot of that Santa Barbara area. So yeah, it gets pretty bad out there.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's start talking about some of the toys that we brought today. We're gonna go into our archery gear. We've got a lot of stuff here to it's kind of not necessarily the gear dump of podcasts or what have you, but we'll go over some of the tools of the trade, talk about some of the stuff that we're rocking. Misha, we'll go over your compound bow, some of the other things that you bought. We'll get into some debates because I know we can in regard to arrow choice, money spent, where to put that money. Yep. But let's start with your bow here. So what are you going to be taking with you to Colorado this year?
Thank you for asking. I'm going to be hopefully taking this Prime Black 5.
You didn't have that last year.
I didn't. I blew it up, tuning, dialing it in at the end of July. And because everybody loves hunting, parts were really hard to come by in August before my departure. And I actually didn't get it fixed till, I would say, late October. It was painful.
So that's something else we're gonna have to talk about is the backup bow, right?
Oh yeah, no. One is none. Two is one. Yeah. But yeah, so this is it. Thank you, Mr. Donald Trump, for giving me $1,200, and I spent it immediately on
Who knows? Maybe next year he'll be giving you more money, and you can buy a backup to the backup, right?
No, yeah, we'll wait and see. But yeah, no, really happy with this bow. It just, again, engineering, and that's kind of a little bit about my background. Engineering wise, I loved it. Just everything it presented.
I was going to ask you, what attracted you to the Prime? What model is that?
So Black 5. So it's a couple of different things. Again, they're increasing some of the distances between the cams themselves are, I forget what they're called, dual, basically. They're not dual cams, it's all right, my terminology is off, but it just reduces the load that the frame of the bow,
it sounds like the perfect engineer bow.
I'm being very, very lame in the right terminology area, but yeah, again, they spent a lot of time engineering this, cutting as much weight out of it, and they caught my attention with it. So
what's crazy is that every year it seems like bows are more and more like computers and phones. It's like they're having the secret reveals as if like iPhones and Google phones. It's, come every September, it's like the iPhone 482 with, AI this and AI that. Now, bows nowadays. And I've been kind of like looking to get my backup bow because I've just got one, which could be dangerous. But they always release all the big bow companies, whether you're shooting a Prime or whether you're shooting a Matthews, a Hoyt, a PSE, they've kind of all gotten into this cadence of when archery season is over, that's when their flagship bow has been released.
Yeah.
And
that's how it's sales. It's all about sales, right? You got to keep the company going, and the new product is kind of what's going to do it. So I totally get it. I personally don't think you need there's some folks who can afford it. I don't think you need the next best thing. I'm looking at you, and then you're
I'm getting like close there, Misha.
Yeah, you're a sucker for sales.
I'm a sucker for sales, especially when they're on Facebook, man. Maybe because I'm scrolling so much, it's just like, you need to buy this, and I'm like, okay, where do I click?
Yeah, no, definitely. And let's see, I bought this in 2020, so I spent 6 years hunting with my primary bow at the time was a PSC, PSC Drive. And again, like I said earlier, I just deep dove into research, and because I was starting out, I felt like I needed something that was versatile and then forgiving, and that bow, I found it all. And guess what? When this one failed me last year, it came through, took it we took it to Colorado and came home with lots of meat.
Yeah, we sure did, man. That was awesome. And in terms of if somebody's just kind of getting into it and somebody's kind of taking a look at archery, getting into archery, I will say this, that there is the cheap route and then there is the expensive route. Because if you're going out into the market and you don't have a bow, it is not going to be cheap. No lie about it. If you're going after the flagship bow, and we'll talk a little bit about like, hey, what route should I go? Because I think that's one of the biggest questions is, do I go new? Do I go used? Do I go kind of like one of those ones that's a Black Friday special? But if you go with the flagship bow nowadays, you're going to be spending at least $1,500 on the bow itself.
Right. A
bare bow.
Nothing on it. Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're going to be putting on a sight, and some of the top of the line sights like the UV slider are going to cost you about another $5.99 to put on those things.
Or more, yeah.
Or more. And then now if you're just getting into archery, what you're seeing is that all these influencers have a front stabilizer and a rear stabilizer, which is going to cost you an additional $300 if you're going to go top of the line. And by the way, you've got these ultralight quivers that are going to go on the side of your bow, which is going to drop you another $200. And then you've got a rest that's going to cost you another $150 to $200. And then you're going to be upwards of $2,500 to $3,000 if you go entry into the flagship world of all these big bow companies.
And you just have a bow. We haven't talked about arrows yet, a bag for your bow, or a tag and gas money to go hunting.
Right. So if we've got guys listening along with their wives and they're just getting in, that's where the wife should have tuned out, so they don't necessarily know. So maybe we do need Donald Trump back in office.
Ooh, be careful. We don't want to lose some of the viewers here in California.
Especially specifically here in California. But yeah, so it's gonna cost a pretty penny, but there are other options out there. And you know, some of the things that you can do, you know, you'll get the Black Friday ads that come out from Bass Pros, or not even the Black Friday. I mean, we just got past Father's Day. You can go out there, you can buy like a Bear bow, or there are other brands out there like, I think like Black Diamond and things like that, which aren't going to necessarily run you that $3,000 range. And you can buy a Bear bow and then kind of outfit it with more upgraded, you know, sights and other things, and get away with it for sure. Or you could also go the used route.
And that's why I brought this bow into the picture, because my story with it is, again, after doing some research, I knew I couldn't afford a kind of a top of the line at the time. The bows were in $1,000 range, I think. So when I did a little bit of research, I bought the last year's model. So this is a 2013 PSC Drive LT. So it was used. I bought it on eBay, sight unseen. I spent $451. It had a sight, it had a rest. It came with everything, including the quiver. And I took a chance. I don't recommend that to a lot of people, because I could have been throwing money away. You know, the limbs could have been cracked, and I would have been out, quite a bit of money. String, that's replaceable. And I got really lucky. Since then, I upgraded a couple of things, but again, it just I want to say, I got lucky. With a bow, and it fit me well. It shoots great. 5 years later, I still pick it up and amazed that it just goes. Yeah.
So I got a question for you, because I've got my own personal recommendation that I've kind of made as well to a couple of my friends that have been getting into archery hunting, and curious to know like how you feel about it. So as I just talked about, if you go into an archery shop, and there's a couple of archery shops that are local here in Southern California. There's not a lot, but there are a few. I bought my bow from High Tech Archery in Orange County. You got your prime bow from
Oak Tree.
So a little bit up in the Santa Clarita area.
Yep.
So a couple of my buddies are looking to get into archery, and they kind of asked for advice in regard to, how much should I spend on a bow? And, I'm completely transparent in regard to like, well, if you're going to go top of the line, then you're going to be upwards of $2,500 to $3,000. But my recommendation, because they then came back and said, hey, I see this bow for $500 or $400. My recommendation to them has kind of always been to kind of maybe look at more of that used area of the flagship bows. So my recommendation has been, go to eBay or go to Facebook Marketplace, offer up, look for bows that kind of like are either a year old. So when you scored your PSE, which was just a year old at that time, you look back and, you look at some of the flagships that are 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. They're still great bows. And if you find the right person and the right price, you can score something really good that one day was $3,000. And oh, by the way, you might have some goodies on there too,
right,
that are worth even more, making that so much more of a value. And I kind of always tell them, hey, I'd rather shoot like a real top of the line bow that's maybe a couple of years old versus, something that I'm going to be paying for brand new that's maybe $400 or $500. What are your thoughts?
I'm completely there with you. I think it depends on the person, right? Some people are flush with cash, so they can go ahead and afford it. But
they must be engineers
or linemen. Yeah.
Linemen. Yeah, they must be linemen.
Yeah, linemen.
Yeah, those linemen. They even got bumper stickers for themselves.
Yeah. No, because being surrounded by friends who were archery hunters.
Yeah.
Immediately, first thing first is they just. Like with rifles, they just shove one in your hand. They're like, take a look, feel it, hold it, see if it works. And similar when you go to a pro shop, they don't just pick one for you. They say, try them all. They ask you what your price range is, what your desires are, which is the right questions. They want to be honest with you to see how much of a background you have in archery. Again, what your price range is, I think is kind of like the number one question.
Yeah.
And they go from there. But unlike shooting or hunting with a rifle, a lot of people try to hold on to their equipment, especially myself. I would love to have somebody else shoot my bow and be like, this is the bow I want.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go find one just like that, because you can't have mine. Sorry. It's set up for me. I know exactly where it's been.
It's
what
your
it's
baby.
done. Yeah, it's not leaving my sight. None of them are. It's like tattoos. I'm starting to gather them.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you see all these bows in the background. They're kind of like decorations.
Yeah, man. I tell you.
One day they'll all be used. But yeah, I highly recommend trying things, talking to people, doing your research.
Yeah.
Again, there's no one single source of truth, especially for someone's preference. And then when they decide, you know, again, go out, try things and find what works for you.
So when I first got into the archery market and I went to go buy a bow, I ended up with the Matthews Vertex.
Oh yeah, bring that baby out.
Yeah, so this is my puppy right here, and this is a Matthews Vertex, and I bought this brand new. What was it? 5 years ago? I think it was 2019, and I love this thing. And I ended up with Matthews just because I was kind of researching. I was the sucker that ended up in the bow shop and then started in the $600 range, and then left the store with their flagship bow.
Wow.
And yeah,
Hey.
you know, initially I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I spent that much, but I never regretted it. And I'm going to be in the market. I don't know when, but eventually I will be, whether it's not going to be this year. I think it's too late in the season because we're going to start really kind of honing in our skills, and I want to be comfortable with my equipment for sure. I don't want any issues, but I'll be taking this to Colorado again this year. This is going to be a lot of fun, but got into Matthews and it's been fantastic. If I had to do it over again, right? So if hindsight was 2020, I think, you know, similar to what people say about your boots and your hunting boots, it's that every boot fits differently and you've got to find the right one for you.
No. Yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah. So if I were to do it over again, I think one of the cool things that I've seen on a couple of shows is they do blind tests. So they blindfold you and they hand you in the archery shop as you're pointing 20 yards down range. They kind of hand you a bow.
Yep.
And you draw back and you shoot an arrow out of it and you kind of get a feel for it. And then they hand you another bow. And you draw back, you shoot, and you get a feel for it. And then, you know, by the end of going through bows A, B, and C, they kind of have you go through the fact of like, hey, what fits you best, what works best for you, and what feels the best. And it kind of takes away all that, I don't know if it's called bias or what have you, you know, but it kind of fits you to the bow, and it makes that decision that much harder because you might go into a bow shop thinking, I want this because of feature A, B, C, D. But guess what? The feel of bow D, which you had no idea, you know, you didn't think about going in, fits you best or feels the best.
Yeah. It's now that we know, right? Now that you and I have been shooting for a couple of years now, many years now, we know those little intricacies and things we like.
Yeah.
You know, and we can talk about it, talk to the salesman, do our research, talk to each other. But when somebody's fresh coming in, and you know, when the salesman the pro shop is handing them the bow, they say, you know, well, this one has, you know, like a soft shoulder, or, you know, it's dead in hand. The person had no idea what that means.
They just go, okay, I read that online.
And the bias is there. The bias is introduced, and they're set for life with it.
That's why I think it'd be kind of cool to do it blindfolded for somebody that's new, that's never shot a bow, to kind of put a blindfold on and just kind of go straight off of feel. But I kind of argue, I'm arguing against myself, playing my own devil's advocate, but it's like, as a new bow hunter, you don't necessarily know what it's supposed to feel like anyway.
Yeah. Feel is not going to get you, you know, an animal, you know, 70 yards away. So I can argue that all day long. Mm-hmm. And I will argue that because, again, when I was doing the research, being an entry-level archer, I needed as much flexibility in the bow, so right adjustment as far as poundage, your draw weight. I needed flexibility in forgiveness, so I wanted that tall brace height. I knew that I needed those qualities because I was entry level archer, but at the same time I wanted kind of like the faster bow and, you know, the stronger equipment, that so kind of the middle level. So I stumbled onto one, never shot it and bought it. And again, singing its praises still.
Well, I'll tell you what, both your choices have done you well.
Yes, things are hanging on the wall, and and again, you're right. I love them. I have a little bit of PTSD with the Prime every time I draw. I hear
I have noise. PTSD for you, bro.
Yeah, but you can't be scared. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
So equip and fail, but just go out there and try. And again, I'm not turned away from Prime by any means. Again, may have in my mind their stock have gone down a little bit, and that's again they took care of me as far as repairing it and getting it back to me, but it did take a long time. So I was having a little bit of reservations about that, and spare parts, because everything had to be made.
Yep. Yeah, so had to be engineered.
Yeah,
but that's just the bows, and we could go on for hours and hours about everything, but we've got a lot of stuff here.
Sure.
So let's just kind of like touch on some of the items that we have here. And one of the things that we'll touch on first is arrows. So let's go into arrows. I know you've got a few there. I've got some new toys here that I'm going to talk about. But when you went into arrow selection, what are you looking for when it comes to your archery arrows? And are you doing different things with them?
Yes. So I have a long draw. 31 inch, so a little longer than most folks. Some folks even have longer arms than I do. But what I was looking for, again, when I started, price, and price. So
price.
I knew I was going to be throwing arrows at targets, missing them. I thought that I could afford, buy a dozen and blow them up, once a month, all 12 of them, and not feel bad about it. So for under $50, I was buying these Trophy Hunter from Guide Gear, and you know what? They killed a lot of animals. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They're not the best, but they worked great. And I hunted with them for 5 years.
I think it's important to note too, is like, you don't have to get into the archery world spending all this money. Mm-hmm. You can go in with the attitude of price, and be budgeted, and it still works.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still, I think the biggest thing in order for you to be successful, that you can blame your gear, but the biggest factor is going to be the human factor. And it's going to be how much you go out there, hone in your skill,
right,
and then actually how much time you spend out in the field to actually go hunting.
Yep.
And if you do that, whatever you have is going to work.
Yeah. No, I told myself I'll replace these when I find out that my skills are up there, and I can start telling that my equipment is what's slowing me down.
Oh.
And I noticed that, maybe a year or two into it, but I was like, it's still working. I don't need to be a 10 shooter at 70 yards. Yeah, if I can hit a paper plate consistently, your 8-inch blade, your 10-inch blade, depending on the animals you're hunting, I was very comfortable, going forward. But I did, being in composite manufacturing, I did had to switch to some really fancy arrows. So I got the VAP TKOs. I want to say 2019, 2020, and used them for 2 years. And I love Victory, sticking to them. But
what made you switch? So what is it about the engineering and the composite manufacturing, which are really big words for this podcast, that made you switch?
Just, again, you can talk about technology that they're throwing into it, but arrows and arrows, again, price for the arrow, because again, these are, I think the error in them is plus 0.001 inches, so it's out
match grade.
Yeah, so they're very well balanced arrows, and I like how sleek and they were, I think, on the less expensive side compared to some of the other products that were out there. And again, I felt like it was time to upgrade. So I did.
Got it.
Yep.
So for me, I started off with some Victory Sport arrows. And again, those were the arrows that I bought 5 years ago, and they worked for me, man. And I bought a dozen at the time, and they lasted me for the 5 years.
I don't understand how.
A
dozen arrows.
It worked, man. Yeah. And that's all I needed, because I'd go down to the range, and you and I shoot at the South Bay Archery Range, which is in Palos Verdes. Been a member of the club for the past few years. It's been fantastic. And if nobody's ever seen that club, it is probably the most beautiful archery range out there. Ocean view. It is just amazing.
Yeah.
So super stoked to have that here. But I had my Victory Sport arrows and they worked. And I told myself, okay, I've Robin Hood a couple of arrows. So, you know, I went from 12 to 11, lost a couple more arrows. So went from 11 to 9, and then broke a few more arrows where it's like, oh, okay, you know what? It's probably going to be time to buy new arrows. But I still wanted to kind of get that first kill, that first blood on the arrows. So I was able to do that. Dispatched a few animals, different types of species with those arrows. Had a good time. And this year, Misha, I finally made the switch, and I'm going with something different. And I brought that here today. And these babies just actually came in the mail last week. And I will say I was influenced. I was sold. And now I will be able to kind of see how they perform. But I went with John Dudley's Knock On Easton Axis match grade arrows. And yeah, these are the arrows that he has on his site. It is a 4-fletched arrow. It is wrapped. And, you know, I took it out to the range this past weekend, kind of didn't sight in, you know, all of my pins, but got it close enough to where when I go back to the range, kind of on a fresh back, fresh shoulders, that I plan on sighting in my bow with these new arrows. But I'm looking forward to hunting with these. And again, these are the knock-ons. Looks to be flying pretty decent.
I'm still amazed going back to how you shot a dozen arrows for 5 years, and
I'm just that much better than you, bro.
You're bro. I've probably so I number my arrows.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a number 325. It's not.
Wow.
No, it's the 3 is the year consistency that I buy. 2 is the pack number, and the 5 is the number arrow out of that pack. So this is third year I'm buying this Victory VAPs 300s, and yeah, I'm already in two dozen of those, if not more. And
wow.
Well, I hunt a lot, as you know. So maybe that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So what kind of broadheads are you using?
Very again. So one of the things when I started hunting with the club members, it was one of those mandatory. Here you go. Here's your broadhead, because this is what we're using. So this is what you should be using. Yep, that's it. So that is let me grab one of those and bring it in front of everybody. So it's a super simple. I'm spacing on the name now.
The Muzzy.
Thank you very much. I believe the number, they call it number 225. So I shoot the 100 grain 3-blade, and the blades are replaceable. So is the tip, and
that is the OG.
Yeah, it's, again, everybody was shooting it except my father-in-law, who was using the same one, but 4 blades. So all of a sudden, when we're hunting together, we're not shooting the same one. But it, to me, just made sense. So versatile that if I forgot mine or just short, I could lean over to a friend and be like, hey, can I borrow some tips? Because I've been sending them. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I picked those up, and it was a pain putting those together. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, I am so over this, because with those Muzzies, you have the replaceable the replaceable blades, right? And for me, it was just a pain, and like I was just kind of working around those things, and I was like, man, I'm gonna eventually hurt myself.
I've done it.
So yeah, and it's not pretty.
No, you cut yourself.
Yeah. So I ended up going with these broadheads right here that I've got. And these are the G5 Montec 3s. And like you, I shoot the 100 grain. I found success in these, and these have done me well. For everything that we're talking about, we literally could go down the rabbit hole with every single topic, every single piece of archery equipment, because there's just so much to talk about. But I went with the M3s because they were just a solid 3-fixed blade. I've been on the range where, you know, people are shooting vented broadheads, and you know, there's the noise. They're not as quiet, but they say that they're more accurate and shoot more in line with your field points. But I went with these G5 Montec M3s. I've had good luck with these, whether it's luck or I just got skill. I don't know. I kind of lean more on the side of luck, but I've taken out bores straight through the front shoulder on this, and it's gone full pass through at about 25 yards, which was awesome. I've gotten goats, and this has survived lava fields, and got passed through on deer as well. So it's kind of gained my confidence, and I just kind of feel confident with this broadhead. So that's going to be my setup this year. This is going to be the knock-on Easton Axis match grade and the 100 grain Montec G5 M3 or G5 Montec M3.
So if you own a dozen of arrows, how many tips do you own?
Not a dozen.
Okay. Well,
but by the time I go hunting, it's going to be at a dozen.
Okay.
So I'm doing the math in my head and just like, okay, well, I've got this many. So
where's the cha-ching sound? Yeah. Sorry, got to throw it out. Yeah.
I got to wait for the next sale, man. 4th of July is coming up. So I already see that Go Hunt has their 4th of July sale advertised.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you can put it in your basket, and as soon as the
when it comes to hunting, stuff doesn't go into the basket. It just gets purchased.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't even make the basket. It's like a swish, and it just ends up coming to my house a couple days later. And it's just like, my wife and I, Pooh and I, kind of compete, like, who can get more packages delivered to the door each week. So that's going to be the arrows. You're going to be using the VAP TKOs?
Not the TKOs. Yeah, I think I made the switch 3 years ago to the elites. So and I almost want to say the reason I switched to the elites is because I couldn't find TKOs at the right price and in the right quantity. All of a sudden,
so price.
No, it was. I needed, I wanted to buy a dozen, and I could find, a 6-pack on Amazon. I needed that day, and I just said, well, they're same size, same spine alignment, same weight. Maybe someone's gonna go, no, they're not. But I was like, I'll give it a shot, and yeah, I probably bought 3 dozen of these in the last 3 years, maybe a little more, and they've worked out great. So
and for those that are getting into archery, don't be concerned. They all work.
They do, yeah.
They all work.
You need the right spine. You need the right length. You need consistency. Even if the arrow is cheap and inconsistent in itself. Everything else you want to try to stay consistent with, right? You
just
eliminate. There you go. Yeah.
I took this 10-yard shot.
I took out a deer at 74 yards, hard shot with this cheapy crappy little arrow, and my father turned to me and was like, "That is the coolest thing I've ever seen." Again, I got super lucky. A deer walks out up on the hill.
No, it's because you're super skilled.
Yeah,
bro.
there you go. I'll take the credit. Yeah. No.
But we got the arrows, and then kind of moving on, kind of down the table, one of the things that every archer is going to have, and we won't spend too much time talking about this, but this is like the archer's must have. Somebody does archery when they have an archer's Allen wrench.
Again, I went cheap and got just the Amazon special $3.99. Yeah, I think this is this.
But was it yellow?
It was not, and it's metal, and the second I drop it, I won't find it in the forest. Yeah, you're right. It's
not a true archer's Allen wrench unless it's yellow, Misha.
But I have multiple copies. Yeah, one is none.
So talking about one is none and two is one, I think in the world of releases, that is a must.
I have the best story about the release. Yeah.
So let's hear about the story about the release, because this is one tool I think that is most forgotten and will keep most archers from not killing something, because I myself and everybody that I've ever hunted with has a story where either a release has broke or a release has actually been, left in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So what's your story?
My story is, the True Fire release. So this is the one that I started shooting with. I bought the $451 eBay bow, and I didn't have a release. I bought some arrows, and our friend Defrost, good old Paul, said, well, I have a release. I don't have a bow. Why don't you shoot this one? I still own that release.
Nice.
So, it's exactly the same. So love it. And the story goes is I was hunting in New Mexico. I think it was just my dad and I at the time, and I went out for an afternoon hunt. Kind of crossed couple little canyons, mile and a half away. I settle in, I look around, it's an afternoon, so I'm, waiting probably 2:30, waiting for the sun to go down and the cool off and the bugle fest to begin, so I can try to sneak one on. And I always nock an arrow, and I get the rest ready, and I get the rest ready, it's not ready, and I go through every pocket and it's not there, and I'm like, oh my God, did I just drop it? I must have dropped it. I had it a second ago, and I was hunting for like 10 or 12 days straight. So every day is almost the same, and I'm just like all of a sudden try to go into my memory, and
Where's my release?
Where's my release? I'm in, need or waist high grass. There's no way of finding it. It's got, it needs to be orange. Yeah, it's got camo all over it. And I pick up all my stuff. I walk, I make a game plan because I don't have a backup. Go back to the camp. I walk in, I told my dad, we need to drive to the closest town. I'm probably going to buy a cheapie. And then while we're buying a cheapie, I'll call a father-in-law who's coming in for the next weekend to go to the expensive store and get me the one I need, because that's 5 hours away instead of 2 hours. And, we make the game plan, grab a little snack, and we check everything. And I'm like, just so frustrated with myself. And I go to get the wallet and the keys in the drawer, and it's next to the wallet and the keys. And I never put it there. Why? Where? So I look at the clock. It's 3:45. I'm gonna go kill something. Kick myself in the butt, and ran out there. And I didn't kill anything that evening, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things, man. It's so many things that you need are so easy to lose. So I think you really kind of got to get yourself into the mode of, being organized. And for me, it's kind of like, okay, what do I need first? I need to look for this first, this second, this third, and kind of get into the mode just so that you're 100% sure, because it may seem like, how can you forget that this thing is not on your wrist or not have it there? But I'll tell you what, like, it is very easy to do, because I've been multiple times down to the archery range. I think it just happened, it was even worse 2 weeks ago when we were at the archery range and we're walking down the lanes, and it's not until the third lane I said, guys, thanks a lot, but no, it wasn't even my arrows. I didn't have my fucking bow.
That's right. You're just like,
I'm just walking like natural, like, Lottie. And I was just like, guys, I'm at an archery range. I don't even have my bow in my hand. Yeah. Like, I'm just hiking at this point, and I forgot it completely at the practice lane. And it's so easy, and that one is none, two is one mentality is everything. So one of the first things that I did was buy myself a second release. So this was my second release. This is a Spot Hog Wise Guy, and this has been really good. Really good trigger mechanism to this, and really easy to put onto my D loop and draw back. A lot of guys, if you guys are just getting into their archery right now, you're gonna have the wrist releases, but one of the most popular things that I see everybody kind of switching to is the thumb release. And I tried that with a couple releases, and I just couldn't get comfortable. I'm sure if I shot enough arrows from it, then it'd become kind of like that natural feel. But I'm definitely a wrist release trigger pull type of guy, archer, and it's worked well for me. But my best advice is that if you get a release, definitely just don't have one. And if you have the money to buy two, because these aren't cheap, but either buy the exact same one. So everything same, and that's one of the things I bought, the second release, and now it's in my hunting pack. And then don't feel bad about forgetting your bow, because the next weekend I went out and didn't have my hunting pack with me, so the release was on the counter at home, so I totally forgot it. And thank God our friend Ron, who we've been talking about buying all this equipment, we pushed him towards this type of release, and guess what? It worked. We shared his release and shot great. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm living vicariously through him, and everything that I want that's new, it's like, oh, Ron, you should get this. Okay. But we've been having a great time. And again, as we get closer, because our tags are coming up, as we were talking about California, early season, it's going to be kicking off in July. I know for pretty dang sure you've got that first day probably marked on your calendar. I don't, because that's going to be way too freaking hot for me. So good luck to you. But now's the time where it's all about training, right? And after going to Colorado last year and kind of being in higher elevations, one of the first things that I did, and I remember it, I have it on my phone, because when we got back,
I got a picture from you. Yeah,
you got a picture of me on like the stair stepper at the gym, and I was like, I will have a completely different trip in 2024, because in 2023 it was just like I got my ass kicked in that elevation.
Yeah, 10,000 is no joke, and we were all the way to 11,500.
Yeah.
And again,
Seeing turkeys.
Yeah, just running up the hill to 12,000. Yeah, so it's no joke. And if you come in again, we live at sea level.
Yeah,
so
it's a big change for us.
Yeah. No, I was ready. So because I spent a week or a week and a half in New Mexico hunting before moving to Colorado. So again, it takes me a day or two, and that's why I like to take my time, get out there early, take some walks, even on the way through Arizona, just a half an hour walk while sitting in the sitting at a gas station, slowly starts to build out your heart rate.
No, that definitely helps. So for those of you kind of getting into archery, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop any comments, and then we'll help everybody out as much as we can. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel of Rifles, Rods, and Broads. There's so many different things that we can talk about when it comes to archery, and we spent some time kind of just going over some equipment, some gear,
basic stuff.
Basic stuff, and we'll get into more details. And again, check us out on YouTube, also on Instagram and Facebook. Misha,
Jojo,
it's been wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I can't wait to come back and talk about something else.
Yeah, you did a great job of keeping Langosta's seat warm.
This is good. I could get comfortable in this.
You could get comfortable in that. Yeah, he's coming back from Africa. He's going to have some great stories. So again, Rifles, Rods, and Broads. Thank you everybody for joining us. Again, like and subscribe to our channel. Mahalo for tuning in and listening and joining us each and every week. Again, Langosta coming back in just a few weeks. Can't wait to hear about all his stories in Africa. He's got a lot of adventures, a lot of stories on Rifles, Rods, and Broads. Misha, mahalo again.
Thank you so much.
Aloha.